Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con. That empty feeling you've had on Sunday nights for the last few weeks can only mean one thing. Game of Thrones officially concluded after 8 years of being the most talked about show on television. And wow, do we miss it. I really, really do miss it. But since the books and spin-off shows still feel a bit too far off, we've got a little bit more Game of Thrones talk to hold you over. Please welcome two of my favorite Game of Thrones stars, John Bradley and Liam Cunningham. I missed you guys.
Yeah.
I missed you guys.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, I've been talking to you guys for so many years at this point, and it is very surreal to have you at Comic-Con and actually be able to talk full spoilers for the first time ever.
Yeah, they're not spoilers anymore.
No.
It's out there. The info is out.
It's a liberating feeling. It really is. Because for us always, the best part of the year was that thin sliver of time in between the previous season going out and then us getting scripts for the following season. That was the only time of the year when when people asked us what happens next, we could say, we don't know. And it was the truth.
Yeah.
But now there's no secrets to hide anymore.
I have
full
discovered
disclosure.
You've gotten years of your life back.
A useless member of the CIA. I hate keeping secrets.
You've only just realised that now.
Yeah, it's taking me.
Was there anything that you ever accidentally spoiled super early that you realized later? Like if anyone ever noticed, they would realize that was a huge spoiler?
No, I think I'm really, well, one of the things about me that I've really learned about myself over the last few years is I have a pathological fear of getting in trouble. Like I try and avoid.
You're the perfect Sam.
Yeah, I try and avoid, well the thing, I try and avoid getting in trouble at all costs, so my brain kind of steps in. And I'm always a bad one for worst case scenarios. So just before I say things, I think, is there a worst case scenario to this? Yes, there is. I'm going to back away from it.
well, on that.
I did a thing at home with instead of keeping the secrets, when we used to get the paper scripts, I'd leave them lying around my office just to annoy my daughter because she wouldn't go on social media, any of the stuff when it was about to come out. So, but when we were shooting, I'd leave them around and she would actually shout at me, "Would you please put the script away?"
The temptation. Okay, so we went to social media, we went to IGN Twitter account, and we said, we do have the cast, they can talk spoilers. We want to know, what questions do you have? So we pulled together some of the best, and I will say the most popular question that so many people have now that they have the opportunity to talk to cast members about the show is, were you guys satisfied with the ending? Did you like how, did you like how everything concluded? Because I don't think it necessarily went in the direction that many.
That doesn't sound like a fun question to me.
Yeah, where's the fun in that? You know what it is? This show was written by grown-ups, for grown-ups. If we had put a nice pink ribbon on this box and had everybody marry everybody and everybody be happy and they go off into the nice sunset, the audience would have turned around and gone, "You were patronising, condescending, blah, blah, blah." And it finished like kind of life finishes, which is beautiful things, ugly things, and life goes on. And
if we had just given, just kind of spoon-fed people what they wanted and done it that way, there wouldn't be a conversation now. If everybody's satisfied, there's no kind of debate. The conversation's continuing, and the conversation. If you go down certain social media channels, you realise just how many different opinions there are out there. Yeah. But that makes for interesting debate, and we would rather people be discussing it in kind of polarizing terms and everybody just be meh. Everybody just be a general feeling of satisfaction and nobody really cares either way.
It certainly wasn't meh.
No.
Anything but that.
Well, I think it's also something where we've all been speculating about the end for so long and imagined every possible different scenario.
And they had to wait such a long time for this last season as
well. It was just honestly
the
surreal.
The imaginations were just running. So as soon as we put out, they went, "That's not what was in my head."
Well, it was just surreal that it ended.
Yeah,
that it's over, right? After being alive for so long.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I found, especially all the way through filming that final season, was every day seemed to be like a goodbye to something.
Yeah.
Like, even though we wrapped on a certain wrap day, every day you felt like you were saying goodbye to a certain costume or a certain cast member or a certain set. So it was a really long goodbye for us. And that goodbye really only ended for me on a personal level when that final episode went out. So not only the process of kind of the world and all the kind of fandom dealing with saying goodbye to it, we've got to say goodbye to it too, and we're finding it, I don't know how you found it, but I found it difficult.
It's been really difficult. The scene, I think it was in the documentary when Kit was saying goodbye. There was 3 of us said goodbye that day. It was Jacob. The 3 of us were in the scene. And and we were constantly kind of catching each other's eye and looking around really quickly. It was very difficult to be professional. It was our last day, and that was it. When I finished that day, I took, like you were saying about taking your costume off, I sat in my little trailer, put my costume up, and just kind of stared at it for 2 minutes, knowing I was never going to put it on again. It's just a TV show to you people. It was our life.
I don't know. I think it's more than just a TV show to all of us, too.
My accountant is depressed.
Well, I will say, I'm very happy that when we did get to the end, we didn't lose Sam or Davos, which is a perfect segue to the next question from Tiffany. Did you feel your character earned the final fate that they got on the show?
I got a promotion. I was delighted. I'm Lord Davos.
He really worked his way up the chain.
I'm a lord.
Sam tried to invent democracy, and everyone laughed at him.
Shot down in flames. I think that Sam's journey, if you kind of chart that journey, not only just over this final season, but over the whole series, what you get from him is a journey from somebody who, when you're first introduced to him, is somebody who's been told all his life that he's of no worth and no value, and nothing that he brings to the table is ever going to mean anything to anybody. He's just a deadweight and a liability. And over the course of these 8 seasons, you see him discovering more about himself and just learning how much worth he has and learning how brave he is. And then you get to that final scene, and our final scene around that table, and suddenly he's valued, and his opinion is valued, and people are coming to him for advice on things that he has an expertise in. And at no point in the first few seasons, especially when he was so lacking in self-esteem, would he ever thought that he'd be valued in that way.
Fantastic journey.
Yes,
for the character.
Yeah. So that was the case. You know, a lot of people have always said, you know, are you worried about dying every time you get a new set of scripts? And you think you are in kind of practical terms, but it's the deaths in this show that stick in people's minds.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's definitely.
So you can't lose really. If you get a satisfying character arc with a happy ending like both of us had, that's one thing. But there's nothing wrong with a nice death as well.
I love a good death, man.
I don't know. I feel like Amelia probably wasn't too stoked when she got that script at the very least. But I am happy with the characters who did end up living. We got pretty much all of the main stars.
There was so much good news with the final thing. I mean, the Stark family came out of it pretty good.
Were you surprised how many people lived? Did you expect more deaths? I'm going rogue.
King's Landing, there was a lot of faceless people that we didn't fall in love with. There was millions of them killed, and we just got away with it.
Yeah,
I thought there would have been more.
That's an interesting point, and that's one of the things that the show has examined about death all along is that death doesn't discriminate. You know what I mean? Death doesn't come to just to people who deserve it or people who you think it's going to happen to. The universe is constantly in flux, and the unexpected can happen at any time. And you know, some of those unexpected deaths that have happened, you know, the red wedding and all that stuff. Sometimes we do unexpected survival as well.
That was the long night, right? We were like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
So many people lived,
Yeah, Sam lived against all odds, which people seem to be really
I got blown up
annoyed
season
about.
2.
Oh yeah, you did.
I was happy Sam lived, but it did keep cutting to him like about to be overcome by the walkers.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. People survive sometimes in the most unlikely of circumstances, and people have said, you know, Sam survived, and I think but if Arya hadn't have done what she did at that moment, then nobody would have survived.
Yeah.
I mean, she literally saved all of us just in the nick of time.
I will say I expected her to put on a face again before the end.
Or take
that
one
was
off.
A surprise.
Or take one
to
off,
like that she was Jaime Lannister the whole time. And Maisie even said the same, right? That she expected that. So we barely made it through any of our fan questions. But I guess we're just going to keep having to come back to San Diego Comic-Con so we can keep chatting. But seriously, guys, such a blast to see you.
No, thank
Congrats
you.
on Game of Thrones. It's really not the same without it. I think I'm due for another marathon rewatch at this point because our binge did just end. But we do have lots more IGN Live at Comic-Con coming up soon, so stick around or pay the iron price.